Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be reacting to my Premier League predictions from 9 months ago. The season is well and truly over, and I feel like this is a time of reflecting. It's a time of looking back, understanding where we went wrong, learning for next season. Because you know what it is about learning, right? Growth. Growth is all about accepting your flaws and accepting where you went wrong before and learning from it so that the next season you don't make the same mistakes. So today we're going to be reacting to my 2024-25 Premier League predictions and seeing everything I got right and everything I got wrong. And I'm sure we're going to have a whole lot more of that. Before we get started, why am I wearing shades right now? One of my eyes is it's not in the best condition right now. So to spare you guys the horror, I'm just wearing shades for this one. It shouldn't be for too long. It should be back to normal either tomorrow or in a few days. But without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm going to start with Liverpool. Liverpool. All right. I know I didn't have Liverpool outside of the top 4. So I am happy about that. But I know I didn't have them winning it. Let's see what I had to say. Well, I'm putting them right here. Liverpool, I have them coming in 3rd, which is where they finished last season. There were some early rumblings about Trent perhaps leaving the club, even though it kind of looks like at this point in the season he's going to stay going into the year. 1 year left on his contract. But for the most part, you're looking at Liverpool the same way you did last season in terms of their squad. Now, what's the big difference maker for them? The manager. Obviously, they parted ways with Jurgen Klopp at the end of the season. He's taking a bit of a sabbatical at the moment, and in came the Dutchman from Feyenoord, Arne Slot. Now, I'd be a liar if I was to tell you I watched every single minute of Arne Slot ball in preseason. I know exactly how Liverpool want to play, but I have a fairly good idea. Clearly, Liverpool this season will be a lot more oriented and a lot more focused on keeping the ball and being more of a possession-based team. That's not to say they're going to be like Pep City or Arteta's Arsenal, but why did I low-key cook? A lot more careful on the ball. If you look at Liverpool last season, their biggest issue was undoubtedly how many times early in games they would fall behind and have to chase games. And a lot of the time, they were able to do that. But all season long, people had this worry in their mind that, was it sustainable? Could you continuously fall behind early in games every single time and always come back? And eventually, towards the end of the season, especially those last 10 games, it came back to bite them in the ass. They weren't able to come back. And I don't want to say the luck finally started drying up, but that inevitability and that never say die mentality, it only got them so far. Like, it got them far into the season, but it wasn't enough to kind of get over the line. Under Arne Slot, again, not to say that they're like Barca under Pep, but they're a team that I think are a lot more focused on being in control, both on the ball and off of it, especially in terms of the midfield. Maybe under Klopp in the past few seasons, you were seeing 4-3-3 with 2 8s and 1 number 6, and both the number 8s were high energy, ball winners, kind of setting the tempo for the game, where the number 6 was kind of like the ultimate shield for the back line. You saw Endo last year, you saw Fabinho in the past. I think with Arne Slot this year, he almost tends to like to build up with 2 deeper midfielders, maybe one of them being more of like a ball-playing midfielder next to more of like a defensive-minded one, and then a number 10 kind of in front of them, which whether it's Harvey Elliott, whether it's Dominic Szoboszlai, we're yet to see. But I think in those deeper positions is really. Do I have a take on Salah? Did I say how many goals Salah's going to score? They have McAllister. Endo, I'm not sure how much he'll really feature in Arne Slot's plans this year. You have Curtis Jones, who's already kind of come out and said that this style of play suits him a lot more. So it's a different Liverpool. It's the same players, it's the same group, but the identity is a little bit different. And I think what's going to be a big theme across most of these teams, right? Like, you're going to hear me say this a lot about United, about Spurs, about Chelsea, about Arsenal. If you've noticed, a lot of these teams haven't made big money signings or made massive changes to their team, period. Whether that's because of PSR, whether it's because of FFP, any of that stuff, right? It's for the most part the same group of players for most of these teams. So what's the difference maker? What's going to make Liverpool take a jump from last year to this year? What's going to make Chelsea make a jump from last year to this year? Spurs, United. It's how tactically the manager is going to be able to elevate them. Tactically, managers this season in the Premier League will have more impact. I'm not wrong. That is basically what ended up happening. Put this on them to improve the team than signings have in the last few seasons. In the last few seasons, I almost feel like at times managers were kind of given this ultimate insurance policy that if it doesn't work out, it's because I need to go buy 5 players. This year, most managers don't have that insurance policy anymore. The team's not working out the way you want to. Please coach them better. Please elevate the level of the team tactically rather than personnel-wise. And in a new manager, You're seeing that more than anybody. So Liverpool, I think, are still a little bit away from City and Arsenal, right? And I'm doing this before the transfer window closes. So we're yet to see what's going to happen, whether they bring Zubimendi in. Maybe there's another guy that comes in as well too. But I'm expecting it. Zubimendi will probably be the only business they do this window, or at least the main big business that they do this window. Maybe an Anthony Gordon, we'll see. That could also elevate the level of the team. But I am expecting to see Zubimendi and not too much else. But I do rate Arne Slot as a manager. I think his philosophy and the way he wants to play is already very clear, which is very impressive for a new manager. But more so than anything, chat, I'm a firm believer that when you have Alisson, Van Dijk, Trent, and Mo Salah, it's very hard for your team to fail. I think those guys are able to dig you out of holes. And facts, this guy's spitting, bro. Whoever this guy is above me is spitting, bro. I would subscribe to this guy. Seriously, I would highly recommend that you guys subscribe to this guy. He's cooking, bro. First American or North American creator I've ever seen that's actually cooking, bro. Real shit, man. I had them third, though. So I can't lie, I can't be too gassed about this. Look, I think it could have been much worse. I could have been one of those guys that says, oh, you can never replace a dynastic coach. They're going to fall off like United did, like Arsenal did. I cooked, but it's a little raw. It's a little raw. It's like medium rare. It's medium rare. It's nice, but it could have been a little better. They have this word that I love using, X factor, in terms of they can change games all by themselves. It doesn't matter about the system. It doesn't matter about their coach. It doesn't matter about their teammates, how their team is playing, how even they're playing. They're capable of producing big moments in big games individually. And I think when we have 4 or 5 of them, right? You're talking about Alisson, probably the best goalkeeper in the world. Trent, one of the best right backs in the world. Van Dijk, one of the best center backs in the world. Salah, one of the best right wingers in the world. You could make the argument all of those guys are the best player in the world, but at minimum, top 3, top 4, right? Having those kinds of players in the spine of your team almost guarantees for me, Liverpool will still be in the top 4. They'll be challenging with the likes of City and Arsenal, but I do think just like last year, it's probably a step too far. I do think those two teams are still a little better than them. So for that reason, I got Liverpool in third. Who else do we got here? Who do I think is going to get relegated first and foremost? Yeah, let's get these out the way. Honestly, these 3 right here for me should be a layup, if I remember correctly. It should have been the 3 that came up. Don't overcomplicate this. I look at these teams. I have to say, again, I'm very honest when it comes to this. I haven't watched every single Ipswich game of the last few years. I haven't watched Southampton massively under Russell Martin. I haven't watched Leicester under, what's his name? Steve Cooper. So there are question marks over those guys. Hey, past Lyes, this is a layup, bro. Don't mess this one up. Honestly, it's a layup. This one was like food on your plate, bro. They gave you a golden platter. Don't mess this one up, bro. And I don't want to just send all 3 promoted teams right back down. Like, no, you do. Trust me, you do. You do want to send them straight back. Bro, don't overcomplicate it, man. Just send them down. Last season, it was just like that, right? All 3 promoted teams went back down. It's one of the worst years for promoted teams ever. I don't think that'll be the case this year. No, that is the case. That absolutely is the case. Nah, what did I do? What can we kind of go with this? Where are you guys feeling? I do think there's some teams that you can kind of put into higher mid-table. I think Fulham are kind of a banker to be between 7th and 12th. And I think that's a great shout. Where did they end up finishing? 7th or 12th? They finished literally at 11th. Perfect. And I also think Crystal Palace are a banker to be between 7th. No, they finished 12th. Perfect. 12th. I think those 2 are where we'll start with those. I literally had them back. Yeah, 11th and 12th. Had a busy window. They've brought, obviously, Painha was the big departure, and I think that's a massive, massive loss. And as far as I'm concerned, Fulham haven't replaced him like for like yet, right? They are still without a Painha replacement. That's a big one because Painha, in terms of being a pure, natural defensive midfielder, was probably the best in the league in terms of like the defensive side of being a DM. On the ball, you have better, right? But in terms of winning the ball back for his team, Painha is the gold standard for defensive midfielders in the Premier League, or at least he was the last 2 years. I think he won the most tackles both the last 2 seasons. It was crazy. Facts. And losing him is a big loss for Fulham. And I'm interested, how do they replace him in the summer? Or do they even try to? Do they kind of change the shape for it? However, they are trying to get McTominay. We'll see if that kind of breaks through. McTominay, how crazy is that, chat? Fulham were trying to buy McTominay. Ended up going to Napoli, Serie A MVP. Yo, if he had gone to Fulham, what would have happened, bro? Wait, it's not a like-for-like replacement with Painha. I think I got Fulham finishing mid-table, 7th to 12th. Maybe lower mid-table, but for the most part, I think I got lower mid-table. Chat, so far, not the worst. I'm here. The other team is Crystal Palace. So, let's not also forget, too, that Fulham lost Tosin Adarabioyo. Even though I've seen this morning, they're trying to bring Joachim Andersen back to the club, but we'll see about that. But let's stick to Joachim Andersen's current club, Crystal Palace. Now, they've lost a few players. Olise is gone. Well, Olise is the big one, right? We're yet to see still if Eze remains at the club. I'm going to be real. I'm good. There's no way I predicted an FA Cup win. Impossible. Club, what happens to Mateta. But the way Crystal Palace finished the season last year, they were the form team in the league for the last 2 months. They beat United. They beat Liverpool. I believe they beat Spurs. They were just ridiculous. Glasner came in and completely changed life for that football club.
Facts.
And he changed life, in particular, for Jean-Philippe Mateta. Oh my God, chat. Before a ball was kicked, I was saying Mateta might be the worst striker in the league. By the end of the season, Mateta was like the form guy in the Premier League. And I think a huge part of that has to do with Glasner coming in and just completely changing the football club. You hardly ever see a guy come in and have that much of an impact. But Palace went from one of the most boring, dreary, predictable teams to play against under Roy Hodgson to all of a sudden everybody's second favorite team when watching Premier League action. Adam Wharton, who was signed in January, was a revelation. So good that he even ended up making the England team. And speaking of England team, there wasn't a single team in the England squad that had more representatives from a club than Crystal Palace. And Wharton, Eze, Guehi, and Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson, obviously in goal. I didn't speak about him, but brilliant keeper. Eze on the left.
Chad, this ain't bad, man. I'm happy right now, bro. I'm happy right now. So far, everything I'm saying, look, they finished exactly where I thought they would.
Obviously,
I'm happy right now.
Not there anymore, but then Mateta up front. Palace, if they can kind of prove that last year under Glasner wasn't just like a hot bit of form, and that's really who they are, I think this is a great place for them. 7th and 12th. And I know they often finish here anyways, but they probably finish closer to 12th normally than they do to 7th. I think this is one of the first seasons where we could really see Palace in the higher bit of the mid-table area. So I got...
Stop the cap, man. They finished 12th.
I actually got them above Fulham. I got them here. I feel like Newcastle hasn't really made any signings, right? I think Newcastle, I got them here. I think I got Newcastle.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. And so it begins. Are you an idiot? Like, I'm talking to me in the 9 months ago. Are you an idiot? What's wrong with you? Seriously. What's going on in that head of yours? What the hell was going on 9 months ago for you to say some bullshit like this, bro? Higher mid-table for Newcastle. Oh my goodness. I'm actually scared to press play. I'm very scared to hear what I have to say about this. Where did they finish? They finished 5th, right? They finished 5th.
It's a shame because I really like Newcastle, but I'm just looking at them from last season to this. Have they made one signing? I know they're trying to bring in Guehi to the club. Obviously, the way Isak kind of played the second half of the season was incredible. Gordon had an amazing season last year. Bruno G and Joelinton, they'll have Tonali back for the whole season, which in a way is kind of like a new signing. I am expecting to see Livermento and Hall play a lot more on either side. So, Newcastle should have a good season, but
they should have a good season, but I put them in 7th.
They done enough to kind of... Well, I think the big thing for them is they're getting a lot of
appreciate you for the 9.
Newcastle last year really suffered with injuries.
Appreciate you for the 9,
really suffered from it. Like, I know we focused a lot on United and Chelsea, but when we talk about injuries, I think Newcastle faced just as many as them. Like, it was a crazy unlucky season for them.
Facts.
So they're getting a lot of guys back, and we remember what they did the season prior. They could definitely do a lot better than 7th, but I don't know, chat. Am I being a little harsh putting Newcastle 7th? Maybe we revisit it, because I think for now...
Please revisit it. Can you revisit it now? Please.
Just outside of the top 6. But let's also see how the window kind of closes for them. I think this is a little harsh on them just because I don't know much about their new manager. And I think losing De Zerbi is a big one. But Brighton have higher...
Where did they finish? They finished like 8th, right? This was dumb. This was dumb for me.
A 31-year-old named Fabian Horzeler. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. If I'm not, I apologize.
This was poor,
Fabian Horzeler. I don't know too much about him. In fact, let me even see his coaching history. He coached Sampaoli last year, which was his first, well, I guess his second season because he coached them as a caretaker the year before. What did he do at Sampaoli? To be fair, bro, he didn't even coach them in the Bundesliga. He coached them in the 2nd division, got them promoted. But one thing about Brighton, right? They hardly ever get their appointments wrong, whether it's managerially or whether it's
so why would you have them in 13th?
So just because we don't know a lot about this guy and just because he doesn't have a huge track record, especially in terms of 1st division football, doesn't mean that he's a bad appointment and doesn't mean he's a bad manager. But off the basis that they've lost big players in the likes of Pascal Gross in particular, and the fact that their manager is a bit of an unknown quantity, I think there is a danger that Brighton continued to slip. Already last season wasn't great, but they did make some good signings as well too, right? Did they sign Weaver? Am I bugging? They did sign him. That's a big signing. Obviously, he was so crucial to what Arne Slot was doing.
Wasn't he? That's where he was.
That's good. They'll have Mitoma back for most of the season. They had a lot of injuries as well last year. Evan Ferguson will probably hope to have a better bounce back.
That's poor, man. That's poor. I don't know why I would have him 13th,
I don't think is confirmed yet. I think they've been linked heavily to him.
Bruh, I make good points and then I just say, yeah, but forget about those good points. Facts. Why am I saying all these important factors, this brilliant context, and then just blatantly ignoring it?
Minta as well too. Maybe it's a little harsh. I'm gonna keep them here for now, around 13. I think they'll be a lot closer to 13th than 17th. I don't expect Brighton to get relegated, but for now, I'm gonna have them in this area. We'll see kind of how the season goes though, and we'll see how the rest of the window goes as well too. I think I'm gonna go to Chelsea, chat. Where do I have Chelsea though is the question.
I am very afraid. I am very, very afraid right now. I'm terrified right now, bro. I'm terrified.
I don't even want to press play. On my life, I don't want to press play. I think the first consensus as a fan of the Premier League is always to put Chelsea United in the top 6. But the fact that Villa are now here and making very, very good signings as well too, doesn't make it so obvious that either of those teams are in the big 6, bro. Chelsea have had a tough preseason. They've had a tough preseason.
They weren't great over preseason.
Very, very tough. They haven't looked good whatsoever. The signings that they've made have been a bit peculiar. The only real big one that they made was Pedro Neto. The rest, I don't expect to feature heavily in the first team. If they get Osimhen, I think that's such a big move that it gets them into the Champions League. Excuse me, Dewsbury Hall as well too. But for me, Dewsbury Hall is just not a like for like, but that's Gallagher in, Dewsbury Hall out. That's not a massive incoming for me. Neto is really the big game changer. But if they are able to bring an Osimhen to the club, I think that's a signing right there, chat, that propels them into the top 4. If not, I think you're really asking for Cole Palmer to have a huge season like he did last year, but there's no guarantee of that. I expect Cole Palmer's productivity in front of goal to go down a little this year. That's not to say I think he's gonna have a failure of a season. I'm sorry, that's a W prediction. Cole Palmer did have a down year production wise. He wasn't he didn't score the same amount of goals as last year. That was always gonna happen though, by the way. Always going to happen. Palmer is more than just GA, but I don't expect him to have the most GA in England for a second successive season. If he does, I'll hold my hands up and I'll say, congratulations, you proved me wrong. But I think last season might have been an outlier. I still expect him to be Chelsea's probably top scorer, most assists, but I don't know if he'll hit the numbers he did last year. And Nkunku has to have a big year. Jackson has to develop really well. Neto has to stay healthy. And Enzo has to be able to solve, or Enzo Maresca has to be able to solve this Enzo Fernandez-Caicedo dilemma. Can they play together? And if so, how do you get the best out of them? And again, I have to be honest, I haven't watched Enzo Maresca's Chelsea week in, week out. I've seen the results. They don't bode well, but that's not a great way of analyzing a team. The thing that has changed is the manager. So we're asking Enzo Maresca to be the difference between Chelsea last season and this season. Can he bridge the gap in points by tactically improving them? I think I got them at 6th. I think, you heard that? Yes. Listen to your gut. Something's telling you that's not a right prediction. Something is telling you, listen to the little voice inside your head. That little come on. Listen, tap in. Tap in. Tap in. I think I got them at 6th, man. I think I have Chelsea at 6th. Yeah, I got Chelsea at 6th. Okay, if we're being real, it's not the worst prediction in the world. They finished 2 positions higher, and they very well could have on the last day of the season finished in 6th. Having said that, I was wrong. I definitely underestimated how much Maresca could improve this side. But I don't think that's the worst shout. Compared to Carragher saying 8th place or 9th place, that's a howler. This isn't great. It could have been worse. They weren't that far off 6, but granted, I'll hold my hands up. I was wrong about the season for Chelsea. I think 6th. I think anywhere between 5th and 7th. I don't think they're going to make the top 4 this year. Why would you continue talking? Why? You could have gotten away with it. You were so close to it, and you had to open your damn mouth and say that. Why? Why would you say that? I think 5th and 7th. Wolves, I have here. I have here for Wolves. Let's see how they spend the Pedro Neto money. Wolves accurate. Were a good team last year, man. Honestly, Gary O'Neill did a really good job with them. I think they were really unlucky at times. Like I think personally, right? And I have no bias here because I'm not a Wolves fan. But I think if any team can have a claim to saying they were done dirty the most by VAR, I think it was Wolves. I think Wolves were denied about 10 points from VAR decisions. It was crazy. They played good football. They were safe around like halfway through the year, which I think a lot of people had Wolves. I can't lie. This is all Relegation. It went so bad for Gary O'Neill this year. For the most part, they never even entered. They kind of went on holiday the last few weeks of the season. Shout out Vitor Pereira. Finished like lower to mid-table. But I think they're a team that for me under Gary O'Neill are safe. I think it's going to get relegated this year, chat. I think Everton. And look, every year I say Everton. Okay, this is not a bad shout, chat. Let me tell you why it's not a bad shout. Because this was under Sean Dyche. No one could have predicted what David Moyes did. I'm sorry, I'm not having this one too bad. They were in trouble until David Moyes came in. I'm honestly not that mad about this. Shout out David Moyes. Real one. Prem legacy manager right there. I don't think this shout was that bad. Nah, it would have been, bro, if Everton had kept Sean Dyche, it could have been bad. David Moyes changed their life. I said it last year, I said it the year before. And I have to give massive credit to Sean Dyche because for the most part, he steers them clear every single time. When it comes to relegation, Sean Dyche is almost foolproof. But I don't know, chat. I'm hearing about more potential deductions. I think the promoted teams that came up this year are a whole lot better than the ones that got relegated last year, which helped Everton massively. And I'm going to put this team as well with them. I am a little fearful for Leicester, chat. I am a little fearful for them. They've lost Dewsbury Hall, who for me was arguably their best player. They've lost Enzo Maresca, who completely transformed that football team in the way he had them playing.
This was a layup.
Steve
Leicester were
Cooper,
always
I have
going
to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of. And I question, too, where are the goals coming from up front? Vardy is older, and this is his last season. Patson Daka was often not counted on. Iheanacho is gone. Who is the guy up front for Leicester? In midfield, I do think that they need a guy that can kind of like be the difference, not the difference maker, right? But somebody that can kind of make things happen. Like Fabio Carvalho, for me, would have been a really interesting signing for Leicester.
To be fair, El Khanous actually did an amazing job for them, bro. He's actually a very, very good player. And I would like to see him stay in the Premier League or at least get a bigger move. So that kind of player I'm talking about, El Khanous was really that kind of player for them.
I am
Headsets
going
and
Southampton
webcams to
down.
stay connected this new term.
They're exciting, but I actually think Southampton, even getting promoted in the first place, was a bit fortunate. I think Leeds
Oh,
were
yeah.
better
These guys straight down, bro.
team.
Layup.
Now, that doesn't always translate to relegation the first go around. In fact, you often see the team that gets promoted as champions of the championship automatically go down, and it's always almost the team that goes up through the playoff that bodes the best in the Premier League in the first season.
You don't gotta waffle
But I
about
do
this
think
one.
Southampton,
Yes,
it's a bit too much for them. I'm seeing a lot of people saying Ipswich are going down. I don't know, chat, call me crazy. Yeah, Southampton signed Ben Barrett and Diaz. That's a good pickup. I can see Ipswich staying up, bro. I just have a feeling Ipswich are going to stay up. I have a feeling. I don't know what it is, right? It's
Ipswich Nation, man. Yo, Ipswich and Luton got me back-to-back years, man. I liked Ipswich this year, man. Shout out McKenna. Shout out Delap. To be fair, I actually think they were the best team out of the relegated three, even though I think Leicester finished above them. I thought they were the most impressive of the relegated three. But, yeah, just too much for them this year, man. But Luton and Ipswich, back-to-back years, they did me dirty, man.
It's kind of like my Luton feeling, which obviously didn't stay up, but they were the best out of the championship teams. You're doing what you did with Luton last year, and it almost worked. It almost worked. Ipswich, I'm telling you, I have a feeling about them. I have a feeling about Ipswich this year. Kieran McKenna. I think he's got Ipswich this year. That's my hot take this year. Ipswich stay up. Barely, but I think they stay up. Forest, though. See, Forest is that team, again, barely stayed up last year, and I think Forest got lucky, to be honest, that Luton just ran.
What the fuck am I doing? Whoa.
If I'm going to put a team in the bottom three, it might be Forest.
No, don't put them in the bottom three.
It just depends out of these teams who stays up. And I'm tempted to say Everton. Let's continue.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Bournemouth. Obviously, Iraola took the league by storm last year. He was brilliant for Bournemouth. Came in. The first two games, it looked really spooky. I think Bournemouth didn't win a game for their first 8. But once Iraola got his fingerprints on this team, they never looked back. I think from like November onwards, they were like in the top 6 based on form. The big loss is obviously Solanke. They signed the center back from Juve, or is it Juve or Roma? Hjomland. Huijsen, excuse me. Huijsen. They signed him. He's a huge talent. He's a massive talent. They made the signing of Enes Unal official. They brought in Luis Sinistera official. But the issue is selling Dominic Solanke. Obviously, they've gone and brought back £65 million to spend. How do they spend that? Where's the replacement for Solanke? Because that's a lot of goals you're asking Bournemouth to replace. That's a lot of goals, man. They are signing Araujo. I saw that as well, too, from Barca, the Mexican kid. But that's a lot of signings.
I don't think that ever happened, did
That's
it?
a lot of goals to replace, Chad. They need to make a splash in the window now. But I still think Bournemouth have enough, man. I'm a fan of Bournemouth's team, honestly. I think they got a lot of talent all over the pitch. I think Iraola has proven that he's a very, very adept manager. I think I got them 7th to 12th. 7th to 12th. But towards the...
Hey, ninth. Okay, chat. This is good. 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 This is okay. So far, honestly, it's not the worst. Everton got to get out of there, though.
The bottom, I think, of 7th. Maybe... I have them here for now, depending on how they replace Solanke. Maybe they leapfrog both these teams.
Did they get Evan Nilsson at this point? I don't think they had signed Evan Nilsson at this point. Evan Nilsson, excuse me.
Maybe. Brentford, they just announced, what's his name? Fabio Carvalho. Outside of that, I don't think they've done much business, right? They managed to keep Ivan Toney for now. And Buemo's still at the club.
Yeah, this is. I didn't make this at the correct time.
I got Brentford for now between 13th and 17th, which is typically where they finish. I can't.
10th. Great season for Bournemouth, bro. 16 wins. I think this is the highest they've ever finished. That's actually a great season for Bournemouth. To be honest with you, bro, you got to stop betting against Thomas Frank and the Moneyball system, bro. They just get it done, man. Good season for Brentford, man. Really good season.
Can't lie, like that's where they've been for most of their Premier League career. They're in and around mid-table, mid-table to lower mid-table. I think that's typically where you can expect Brentford to finish.
Yeah, they finished 10th.
So I got Brentford there. We've left a lot of the big teams, chat.
we have left a lot of the big teams. And one of them that we have to talk about this year is West Ham. There's a lot of change that's happened at West Ham this summer.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
David Moyes finally departed the club after so many years in charge, had some really big moments. I think last year finally hit a ceiling. They chose to move on. And in his place is Lopetegui. Now, Lopetegui is always an interesting manager for me because he's had tremendous success for some clubs. And then for other clubs, he's massively struggled. Real Madrid was clearly a step too high for him. Sevilla wasn't great with them either the second go around. It was Sevilla, right? Who I think he got fired when he was around like bottom of the league, you know? Because I think he won the Europa League with them the first time, but I think the second time around, it didn't end up too well for them. No, sorry. It was Porto that he did really well with, excuse me. Sevilla, I swear, didn't he win the Europa League with Sevilla? Yeah, he won the Europa League against Inter. But didn't he get fired towards the end of the second season? Yeah, following 5 losses in 8 matches. I knew it. Okay. So he ended up getting fired, went to Wolves, kept them up for the most part, right? Because at one point, Wolves, under, who was it? The Portuguese guy, were heading straight down. And he came in and completely changed up their season. Left towards the end of the year, and now he's in at West Ham. I think Lopetegui is always a mixed bag, right? Because I think he's a good manager, but I do worry, like, what's his ceiling as a manager? And that's probably the case with West Ham as well, too. You know, they're a good team. You know, they have good players, but what's their ceiling? And I think under David Moyes, they were always comfortable because they had a clear ceiling. They were never going to go down under David Moyes, which before him was kind of concerned at times. But you also knew under David Moyes, you knew the style you were going to play, and you knew you were probably capped maximum 6th. Towards the end, you were even falling 8th, 9th, 10th. And you look at the squad that West Ham had and the team that they're building, it's a very, very good team. It's a very, very good team. You look at that midfield, right? They have added quality in there. Paqueta, for me, chat, is on his day as good as any attacking midfielder in this league, not named.
Sumaya, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming, Sumaya. Hey, Paqueta's my dog, man. Paqueta, look, let me say this about Paqueta. Paqueta's a very good player. But can we be real here? If I knew that my career was on the verge of ending any day now, and that there were looming charges over me that were almost definitely going to get me out of the game, I would drop my level 2, chat. Call me crazy. I dropped my level 2. I still think Paqueta's a good player, man. I still think Paqueta's a good player, but I think that ever since those gambling charges came in and killed his man... Bro, he was set to move to Man City. And then those charges came and his whole life got spun upside down. I would drop my level 2.
Alvarez is a top defensive midfielder. And they've even added depth in that position too with Guido Rodriguez. Another really, really able defensive midfielder. Up front, they have one of the most exciting attacks in the league. Jared Bowen is almost guaranteed 15 goals, 12 to 15 goals in his sleep. Kudus on the left is sensational and would probably make it at every single Big 6 team. Every single one of them.
I still stand by that. I still think Kudus is a
that
top
good.
player.
I swear I'm missing another one in that front three.
Even though he had a
Somerville
bad
as
year.
well too. Just recently signed from Leeds. Player of the year in the Championship. Can he make that step into the Premier League? He looked decent in that year in the Premier League and for Leeds. But can he make that step up to West Ham? They've just signed Nicholas Füllkrug, who led the line for Champions League finalist Borussia Dortmund, was the ultimate X factor off the bench for Germany at the Euros. Can he finally break that striker curse for West Ham that they've had for so many years?
Spoiler,
West Ham
he
have
can't.
brought in so many center forwards, and almost none of them have been able to displace Mikel Antonio. Can Füllkrug be the first one? And then defensively as well too, right? They've brought in Max Kilman from Wolves, who I've always thought is one of the more underrated center backs in the league.
I still maintain that. Yo, I actually think Wolves still have a good team, bro. I don't know. The manager situation is a big one, bro. I like Max Kilman, man. I like Max Kilman. I think West Ham's team is good. I don't think it's a bad team. They should definitely be higher in the league than they actually are. But I think they massively messed up with the Lopetegui hire. And Graham Potter, I'm going to be real, bro. Like, you're running out of opportunity now, man.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back. They already have some good center backs in the likes of Aguerd. I just look at West Ham's team, right? In terms of individual quality, it's a pretty damn good team. James Ward-Prowse, I didn't even mention him. Souček, a really good player to kind of bring on, or in certain circumstances, just bully defenders. West Ham have a good squad. Did they sign Todibo? Is that confirmed? Bro, this team is sick. It's a sick team. Honestly, West Ham have a sick team. This is my only worry with West Ham. Is it too much change too quickly? Hear me out here, because some people might be thinking, what the hell are you talking about? You just named this amazing team, these amazing transfers.
Did I cook?
Is it too much too quickly? I've seen teams bring in all these players with a new manager, and it takes them a while to gel, and sometimes it never does. Or the board runs out of patience before it even gets the chance to gel.
Hey.
I do worry sometimes. Like, we've seen at times, chat, with some teams, we all say they won the transfer window. That's what we're saying about West Ham at the moment. They won the transfer window. And then the season starts,
and they completely flattered to deceive. I'm not saying that's going to happen with West Ham, but that is an issue. Like that's
You
like
should say that. It is what happened.
I've been watching the Premier League for a long time, since 2006. I've watched a lot of teams. I've watched a lot of patterns kind of end up happening. I remember Chelsea when they signed Havertz and Ziyech and Thiago Silva and Werner. I know they won the Champions League that year, but everyone was saying, oh, they won the transfer window. They struggled for a large part of that season. That's my one worry for them. And I think for that reason, I probably still have them around here, chat.
Okay, honestly, chat, I'm not mad about that, right? They finished obviously lower. They finished 14th. But chat, I thought I was going to put them 5th or something because I saw so many people started the season putting them here, bro. So many people. I'm so happy. No, you guys are saying I'm gone. I'm actually happy with that prediction. I'm so happy I didn't fall for the hype and have them like up here, bro. Some people had West Ham finishing as high up as like Conference League positions. So I'm actually not that mad about them finishing, like having them here.
I think I still have them around here, which is crazy.
I'm happy about that.
Like you look at the quality of the Premier League this year, Chad. West Ham and Newcastle could potentially miss Europe. You look at their teams; those are top teams, bro. They're very, very, very good squads, and it's why with Chelsea, I'm keeping them there for now. I'm not 100% sure, Chad. I'm not 100% sure. I got to go back to them. Let's talk about Forest before we get to like these big 5 teams.
I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous, chat. I have my stomach, it's sinking right now, bro.
See Forest's transfer activity this window. They've signed Elliot Anderson from Newcastle. Good player. Big fan of Elliot Anderson. Milinkovic from Fiorentina. Good pickup. And then a few guys here and there. It's okay. It's okay. Who did they lose out on? Their backup goalkeeper went to Newcastle. Niakate went to Lyon. Mangala, left for Lyon. Remo Freuler went to Bologna. It's a lot of departures, I can't lie. They let a few guys go as well, too. They massively shaved down their club, for sure. I don't know with Forest, though, chat. Have they really done a lot? Have they done enough? First season, like full season for Nuno Espirito Santo. Obviously, came in midway last year, changed it for them. I'm not too sold by Forest, chat. I think they're going down this year. But the question...
That just hit me like a gunshot. That just hit me like a gunshot. Oh, my goodness.
I'm not too sold by Forest, chat. I think they're going down this year.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
The question is, at the expense of who? Leicester, Everton, or Southampton? I think I'm going with Everton. I actually forgot about the signing of Ndiaye and of O'Brien. I think those are very, very good signings. I do really rate those signings. And I think under Sean Dyche, they just have enough. They just about have enough. So I'm going to go Leicester, Forest, and Southampton this year. I said it. It's predictions, right?
Chad, this is a biblical, and I mean biblical stinker and hook. This is a biblical stinker. And look at me. I'm trying to look at me. This is why they're gonna get right. Shut up, man. You're trying to gas it up. What phase is Lyes Bouzidi?
Right, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, so be it. I don't mean to offend any team that goes down. You shouldn't take any offense to any prediction I do. It's just a prediction. It's just a thought.
I'm taking offense to it.
I could go 0 for 20. I could go 20 for 20. It's just a prediction. I'm going Leicester, Forest, Southampton as my 3 teams relegated. Everton just about missed it again. And I'll even put it Ipswich below them. There you go. Now, United, Spurs, City, Villa, Arsenal. I've left the big teams to last. Where should we start, chat? I'm going to start with Spurs. Where am I putting Spurs, chat? I think I'm putting Spurs in top 4. Call me crazy. I'm a...
What the fuck? What? 4th? They were 4th bottom. I had them 4th. They finished 4th bottom.
Big Ange Postecoglou fan. Massive, massive fan.
Shout out Ange.
I love the way he carries himself. I love the way he speaks in interviews. I like his leadership. I like the way he's kind of got this Spurs group together, unified. I love the way his teams play football. Fearless, brave, attacking, direct. I love a lot about Ange, man. I have a question mark about Ange, and it's his defensive organization, specifically on set pieces. I remember SDS last year, they got cooked for a take, right? Basically saying Spurs' back 4 is better than Arsenal's back 4. And that take aged like cheese, bro. Molded. Because obviously Arsenal have the best defense probably on the planet at the moment, and Spurs defensively leak goals like crazy. But here's the thing, right? The reason I never got involved in that conversation is because there's a difference between defense as a unit and defense as individuals. I think when you look at as individuals, Spurs have excellent defensive individuals. I think Ugarte is a top left back.
I think Pedro Porro is a
Ugarte.
very good...
What the fuck is he on about? Does he mean Udogi? I hear that, by the way. I still agree with that, chat. I still feel that way. I still think Romero is a great... Bro, I've had Ugarte on my mind since the start of the season, chat. I've been hating on this dude from the beginning. But I think Christian Romero is a great center back. I think Van de Ven is a great center back. I think Udogi is a good left back. I think Porro is a good fullback going forward. I still think as individuals, they're good defenders. But as a unit, they suck. They absolutely suck. Van de Ven and Romero are very good center backs. Spurs have 4 good defenders. Like, for Spurs to improve defensively, it'll be very difficult for them to improve those individuals. Right or Agreed. Wrong? Still agree with that, chat. I still maintain that. They're good individuals. They're not bad defenders.
Wrong, chat. I think it would be very difficult for Spurs to... Not Ugarte, excuse me. Udogi. Udogi is a very good left back. Pedro Porro is a very good right back. Romero and Van de Ven, I think, are very good center backs. As individuals, they are very good defensive individuals. I think Spurs would have a hard time replacing each one of them individually and finding an upgrade. Like, you'd have to break the bank, in my opinion, to find a much better left back than Udogi, a much better right back than Porro, and much better center backs than Romero and Van de Ven.
I still feel that
both
way.
Of them, all 4 of them are very good. But as a unit, last year they were a mess. Honestly, Spurs, some of the goals they conceded were kamikaze. They were catastrophic, honestly. Horror. I don't blame it all on them. Obviously, as individuals, they have to do better. But as a unit, which for me is more so on the structure and the tactics of the team, they needed to be a lot better, specifically on set pieces. So I think Spurs have, and also, let's not lie, right? It has a lot to do with what's in front of them in Basuma and Sarr. Those guys have to do a lot better as well, too. But I think in general, the shape of Spurs, going forward, they're exciting. They create chances. But defensively, they leave a lot to ask for. And just like I talked about Liverpool, just like I talked about Chelsea, and just like I'll talk about United as well too, there aren't 4 defensive signings that Spurs will make this window that will improve their individuals in their back 4. It's up to Ange to increase the tactical level of the team and improve them, coaching for Spurs to become a better team.
I honestly still agree with this. I actually still hold the same opinion. I don't think you're finding much better for what Spurs are going to look for. They're not Real Madrid. They can't go out and get Trent or Saliba or these guys. For what Spurs can realistically go for, they have a good back 4 in terms of individuals. They got to be better tactically. They got to be better as a unit. I agree.
It's about tactically. Can they become better defensively? That's on you, Ange. As much as I like you, that's on you. But you look at the other signings that they've made. Solanke up front. Like I said, Spurs created chances last year for fun. But unless Son was in one of those crazy veins of form, goal-scoring wise, that we know that he can get on, Spurs struggle to consistently finish and punish teams with the chances that they created. In Solanke, they have a goal scorer, a guy who put up crazy numbers last year, but also somebody who's very adept with the ball at his feet. Hold up play, brilliant. Running the channels,
Solanke hasn't
Solanke
lived
is
up
a
to
modern
it.
day number 9. He can do a bit of everything. I think it's a very, very good signing.
He
look at the youngsters
didn't live
that
up
they
to
brought
the,
in as
to
well
65
too.
mil.
Archie
Not
Gray,
yet.
somebody that I think a lot of teams had high on their radars. Very impressive youngster, man. Very, very good player. Big kid, talented, technical, intelligent. Is Bergvall, is that a guy that they brought in last year? Or this year, excuse me. Lucas Bergvall. No, sorry. Okay, so they agreed the deal in February, but he's officially part of their team now. Another guy, in my opinion, that improves the talent, the technical and physical level of the squad. Now, I still think they probably need another winger.
Not yet.
I look at their forward options. Brennan Johnson is okay. Richarlison is okay. Kulusevski is okay. They're okay players. They can give you big moments, but relying on them throughout a whole season, I have my question marks. I think they need another big forward. But the rest of the team, I think Spurs just missed out last season. I think last year, the way they kind of capitulated towards the end of the season.
He had a great year, though. Kulusevski before this season, I would have said it was okay. This year, I think he really improved. But even still, I think he was inconsistent second half of the season. I think first half of the year, he was really, really good. And then, yeah, Brennan Johnson, I'm very, very familiar with him now.
They had last year. They'll have Bentancur as well, too, for the whole of the season, which I think they missed him out in numerous parts of last year.
I definitely overrated these guys, man.
Breaking to the top 4
but also, I could never expect the injuries that they had this year.
It's between them and another team and another team. But I fancy them, man. I think Spurs this year have enough that they can make the Champions League. And I think especially the way they play, it'll be warranted. Which leaves us with a team that I think just about misses out. That's Man United. I have...
You fucking idiot. You fucking idiot. I don't even know where to start. You know what's funny, chat? I'm an idiot. Let me tell you I'm an idiot. I spent the entire 2023-24 season cussing out this team, cussing out our forward line, cussing out our recruitment, cussing out our ownership, and cussing out Erik ten Hag above anyone. And then the following season, decided to back them all over again. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. My name is Lyes Bouzidi. I'm an idiot. In a way, I actually deserve this. You know the expression, when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. This club have shown me for 13 years straight, who they are. They've showed their true colors. They've revealed themselves. They've said, yes, this is what we are. This is who we are. This is what we do. And I said, oh, really? Maybe this time. Maybe this time, though. I'm an idiot. No one wanted to push out Erik ten Hag from the club more than me. No one was more Erik ten Hag than me last season. More to Erik ten Hag out than me last season. And I actually backed him going into a season and thought we were going to finish 5th. In my head, too, I was like, yeah, this is me being realistic. 5th, yeah, we can't have as bad a season as last year, right? Like 8th is impossible to be that bad again. 8th, I would love to. I'm sorry. I underappreciated you. Seriously, I underappreciated 8th. What on earth could I possibly say to validate this, man?
Man United finishing 5th. A few weeks ago, I had them finishing 4th.
Oh my goodness.
Further thought, I think they miss out.
They miss out, yeah? Just by a little. They miss out by a little. How much do they miss out by? A calm 24 points. Just a calm 24 points. That's all they miss out by, man.
It's 5th this year. They've bought well. Lenny Yoro, great player for the future. Should be good now as
okay, let me go. Lenny Yoro, great signing. Okay, I was right about that.
well too. De Ligt is an upgrade on what they had. Mazraoui
Debatable.
is great depth. Xerxes
Ended up being a starter.
is good backup or potentially even a starter up front. But again, the biggest difference for United this year will either be how Erik ten Hag elevates the level of the squad tactically, or he doesn't. That is what United's season depends on. The question is, do they have enough individual X factor like they've had in the last few seasons that kind of sees them through games? Like even last year, for example, I'm of the belief that United finishing 8th was actually a bit fortunate for them because the way they were playing, they were closer to a team placed 11th, 12th, or 13th than they were to a team placed 8th. But when
so why the hell would you then predict them to finish 5th the next season? See, I knew I'm an idiot, but I'm not that dumb. I understand the game to a good level. Like I'm stating facts. I'm actually speaking facts. And then I'm saying, forget the facts, forget the numbers. Let me just be an idiot. I'm sorry, you can't help people like this, bro. You know how I said subscribe to this? Honestly, don't waste your time.
you have guys like Bruno, when you have guys like Rashford, when you have guys like Garnacho, these guys are match winners. They can win you games. But I just think this year, right, the goal is to get back into the top 4. But I don't think they're going to do it. I still think there's question marks about this team that I don't think have been resolved. And I still have question marks over Erik ten Hag. I still do. I'm backing him this year. I hope to be proven wrong, and I hope he can turn it around. I hope injuries were the biggest issue last year.
And you know what? Not sacking Erik ten Hag like I predicted was the biggest reason for this season. Everything that happened this year was all a direct consequence of not firing him in the summer. It's all a domino effect. I genuinely believe this, chat, with all my heart. Erik ten Hag is the most harmful manager post Sir Alex Ferguson to Manchester United that we've had. In terms of his actions, his decisions, his signings, his methodology are the most damaging thing to this football club since Sir Alex Ferguson left. But obviously, like in terms of footballing side, forget about the Glazers. They're obviously number 1. But this guy right here has left Man United in hell. And not firing him in the summer was the biggest decision, the biggest mistake we made, because everything that's happened this year has been a direct result of that. A direct result.
Last year, they were an issue, but the way we played football should not have been as bad last year as it was, injuries otherwise. And it's a question mark I still have going through the season. The Community Shield was actually, it didn't make me feel good, but like it was a bit of a relief. Like, okay, it's a bit better than I thought it was. But I still don't think this United team is good enough to make the top 4. I still think they miss out. I don't know if it's 5th, 6th, or 7th. I'll say 5th for now. And we'll see what they do. I'm
going to be real, chat. I think I was trying to be a good fan. I was just trying to be optimistic. I don't think deep down I actually believe this shit, man. There's no way.
They need midfielders. If they don't sign midfielders, they're definitely not making top 4. But we'll see how the window finishes off. For now, I got them finishing 5th, bro. 5th or 6th. I agree as well, too, Loch. I think a huge difference will be what kind of Rashford you get. How many games of Lisandro you get?
Rashford was shit. Lisandro was out half the season.
How many games of Luke Shaw you get?
Practically nothing.
Can Onana be better than he was last season?
Ha! Ha!
What kind of version of Mason Mount do you get? Because for me,
that's a good one. That one was good. That one was really good. That one was really good.
what you get, how good is Casemiro this season?
And to be fair, he was actually better than he was last year.
There's a lot of question marks of United. And that's why, for me, they're very difficult to predict. If everything I just said works out for the better, then yeah, they can make the top four. Casemiro, at his best, is a top defensive midfielder. The issue is, at his worst, he's borderline unplayable. Rashford,
That's not the wrong. Hey, I wasn't wrong. Like if everything I had said happened, maybe we could have made top four. Nothing that I said had to happen happened. Nothing. I went like 0 for 50.
at his best, is one of the most feared attackers in the league. The issue is, at his worst, he's borderline unplayable. These are the issues. They're tough to predict, man. They're very, very tough to predict. United rarely misses top four 2 years in a row. In fact, they never do. They never do. I can't remember the last time United missed 2 years in a row of top four. I guess Van Gaal and Mourinho.
I'm gonna give you guys a spoiler, chat. I will not be putting Man United 5th or 4th next season for my prediction. I will not be putting them 5th or 4th in my predictions next season.
Those 2 years, but we won the Europa League, so we qualified for Champions League anyways. One more team has to be 7th and 12th. Yeah, no, I definitely know. I'm just debating between Chelsea and Aston Villa. Guys, this is just predictions. People are telling me this team's not finishing, this team's not. It's just predictions. None of us have any idea. This is just a prediction. They might very well not. They might do it. Who knows? It's just a prediction. But we can't say anything with absolute authority here, bro. What has Villa's preseason been? People are saying, notice how everyone overreacts to Chelsea's preseason, but not to Villa's I think I got Villa 7th, bro. I got Villa 7th. You know what? I'm going to stick with that. I might be absolutely wrong here. I think Villa will take a step back from last year. Maybe not as dramatic as Newcastle.
To be fair, where they finished 6th. Yeah, I did say they were going to take a step back.
People are underestimating as well, too, how difficult it is competing for Champions League when you've never played in that competition before. That's a tough ask. But we'll see with Villa. We'll see. I think United, Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle could all finish between 5th to 8th. Honestly, even Spurs, 4th through 8th is very difficult to predict this season, in my opinion. You could make a case that any of those guys finish above the other. This is just a first thought. I got Spurs 4th, United 5th, Chelsea 6th, Villa 7th, Newcastle 8th. I think I go for that, which leaves us with the top 2. Last season, I predicted Arsenal to win the league. Obviously, that didn't happen. Have Arsenal done enough this season to bridge the gap between them and City? They brought in Calafiori. Mikel Merino didn't. I mean, that's not over the line yet. Mikel Merino is still not an Arsenal player, even though I expect that to happen. Jesus has looked good in preseason, but I'm always cautious to put too much credit onto that. City have signed Savio.
I wasn't a believer in Arsenal, I'm pretty sure, chat. I'm pretty sure I was not a believer in Arsenal to win the league this year. I was so underwhelmed by their business, like even before a ball was kicked. I'm pretty sure I think I had City winning the league.
Have to replace Alvarez, but for the most part, it's the same team. Haaland will be fit, you'd think anyways, for the whole season. De Bruyne will be back for more than half a season. Have Arsenal done enough this window to bridge the gap between them and City? And even if they haven't, does it matter? Because I remember Liverpool at one point in 18-19, neck and neck with City, lost the league by a point or two. The next season didn't make any signings and stormed to the league. And funnily enough, that's the year City won the Community Shield, I think. I don't know, chat. I don't know. I really don't know. Again, it's a lot of question marks of Arsenal. What version of Martinelli do you get this year? How much can you get from Jesus this year? Is there another forward coming in the window? I think City have got it again, chat. I have to be honest with you here.
I was big on City start of the season, man. I was big on City start of the season. Guys, remember the way City started the year, huh? Before Rodri went down, before everything started to fall apart. City were looking like unstoppable. Remember with the form Haaland was in at the start of the season? My goodness, bro. They were flying. I was convinced they were going to win the league.
I think City have it again. I think City got it this year. And don't get it twisted. I would love to be wrong here. I will be sick to my stomach if City wins 5 in a row. That'll be so depressing, chat. But I don't know. Has Arsenal done enough
10
this
goals
window
in 4 games
to say that they'll surpass City this year? 5 in a row will be sickening, chat. Timber being back. Yeah, that's like a new signing, if you want to call it that. I think City get it done again, bro. I don't think any team, honestly, chat, if I'm being real here, right? This league, I go into every league, right? Always saying, every season I go into it saying, oh, this could be one of the best Premier Leagues we have in a long time. Like, this team is equipped to do better. This team's loaded up. This team signed some great players. This team's got a top new manager. I could see this being one of the most competitive Premier League seasons in a long time. This is one of the first years, honestly, where I enter a season, chat, and I don't really expect much to be different. I think Arsenal will compete with City. I'm not trying to say Arsenal are going to fall off, but I don't think Arsenal look that much different than they did last year.
I don't think City looked that much different than they did last year. Chelsea, with a new coach, are different, but it's the same squad. United, it's the same coach with slightly different squad. Like, a lot of these teams haven't really changed much. I don't expect this season to be that much different than last season. I think I was massively underestimating how much different Newcastle would look with injuries back. Massively underestimating this group of teams in terms of Fulham, Bournemouth, Palace, Brighton. And then probably massively overestimated these two teams and massively underestimated these guys. Even though Liverpool, I think it was impossible to predict they would win the league. I'm not mad at me not having Liverpool. Like, there's no chance I would ever predict Liverpool to win the league this season. I just couldn't see it. Next year is a whole different story, but this year, I'm not mad about the fact that I didn't predict them. Like, I think that really came out of nowhere. I'm being harsh on Villa, but I think West Ham fans would say I'm being harsh on them. I think Newcastle fans would say I'm being harsh on them. Anyways, did I make any changes towards the end? Guys, let's be real. There's no difference for me what it is too. No, I didn't. So this is what my predictions look like, chat. I can't lie. This is some shambolic. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. Let's go through it. Look, who could have predicted City's injuries? I don't think anyone could have. No, the injuries and then like the fall off of older players. I think this was not a bad shout. I was only 2 places off, but I was wrong. They finished exactly where I thought they would. Liverpool did way better than I thought they would, but I still thought they'd have a good season. Spurs is a howler. United and Spurs are absolutely despicable. Chelsea, I don't think it's the worst shout. I had them 6th. They finished 4th. I'll hold that, but fair enough. Villa, right under Chelsea. Like around, yeah, this ain't bad either. Newcastle and Villa around the same. West Ham, I probably overestimated them. Palace, Fulham, Bournemouth, I got spot on. Wolves, Everton, got spot on. Ipswich, look, I had too much hope for them. Brighton, got them too low. Brentford, around, I don't think that's the worst shout in the world. And then Forest is just an absolute howler. I don't think this is the worst thing ever, chat. I'll be real. I've had 3 massive howlers in United, Spurs, and Forest. And the rest, I don't think is that bad. I really don't think is that bad. Next season, we go again. Hopefully, we can have less howlers than this year. But these have been my 24-25 predictions. As always, guys, there's full transparency on this channel. I'm never going to hide my bad takes. They're all out in the open for you guys. So I hope you found great enjoyment from this one. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.